Hello and welcome to Geeks Assembled, and today we're going to be reviewing a Martin Scorsese psychological horror film, Shutter Island, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Mark Ruffalo, Ben Kingsley, and Max von Sydow. So let's go to opening thoughts, and first we will go with Lee. What's your opening thoughts?
You twine. I mean, can you believe that this movie is 10 years old now?
Wow.
10 years old this week.
Wow.
Right, it's interesting because once you start watching, you don't know what you to watch. You think it's just a person movie, and the AI have been brought in to find out where this person is, and there's the twist, and it's really well acted. Leonardo's on top form on this, and you've got some Ben Kingsley in this as well. He's not used often enough in movies, in my opinion. He needs him more. Very enjoyable. And you wouldn't expect this sort of movie from Scorsese, because what Scorsese is known for, and it's not these type of movies. But he does do a good job with this. Suspense gets you thinking, and then by the end of like the sort of Act 3 movie, like the last half hour of the movie, it's a totally different movie. From when you started at the beginning of the movie, you're thinking that I'm watching a totally different movie now. It's totally different story, but it's brilliantly done. It's a big film for this one. The setting of this on an island, on a little institution, asylum, brilliantly done. I'll go to the moments later on, but I did enjoy sitting there and watching this week. And I must stop calling it Shutter Island.
Yes, you must.
I must, but I don't know. It keeps out with that.
Thank you, Lee. Let's go to Craig and David next.
Okay.
This is who directed this again?
Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, I think he is like. I like any of his films at the moment that we've been reviewing, but even before we reviewed them, they were still like in my top 10 best films anyway, sort of thing. I mean, this is like a fantastic horror / psychological thriller of the detective who's coming on a boat to the island with his so-called partner, someone he thinks is his partner, and then he just gets into this unraveled into this world of the island. Only one ferry can come and go when there's not a storm on. It's almost like the Wicker Man.
Yeah. Or the Prisoner.
And it was very like it was very like Hitchcocky as well. Like and there's some fantastic people. I mean, you've got Leo DiCaprio, you've got the guy that plays the Hulk,
Mark Ruffalo,
the bald guy. What's his name?
Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, I get him muddled up with
It's me. I am Ben Kingsley.
Him muddled up with Kevin Spacey. Sorry, but it was a very, very.
Oh dear. Well, it appears that we've lost. Well, this is a first. I think we'll go over to Tim next, and we'll see if we can get them back.
Yes.
Well, you guys,
Go ahead.
no, I'm talking
Go ahead,
about
guys.
Oh yeah. At the back? No. Oh God.
it's horrible, man. It's like anything beautiful that comes into the world, it's always darkened by these people, the 2%ers who just want to control.
Okay.
Just go to Tim and
go on, Tim.
Well, I would point out that Scorsese is a very, very versatile director.
My Bergen.
So when he takes on something
he always brings like to the movie.
You'll have to mute them and then come back to
again,
them.
Like,
okay. Yeah, so that when he takes on something that's kind of not really in his what you'd call his wheelhouse, it's exciting. I think this is an excellent film. He really managed to pull off the big Lynchian twist about 3/4 of the way through of it, where he completely upturns the movie and you have to rethink everything you've seen and go, oh my goodness, I mean, where the hell did that come from? But it works. It works so brilliantly. If I had one flaw with this movie, is it might be a little bit too long. I would say you could trim about 15 minutes of it and still have the same story. But it's very sad too. The ending of it is very sad because it's just like, wow. I mean, the choice he makes. I mean, he's not as Lulu as they think he is, or that, but yet he's done this before. We find out that this has all happened before, and this is their last attempt to try and fix the guy from so they don't have to fix the guy. So I mean, it's a great movie with a great twist, great cast. There's a lot of people, a lot of people in here doing very small parts, even though they're pretty big name actors or pretty well known actors that they probably just did it because it's a Scorsese picture. But yeah, what an amazing film it is. I mean, I didn't see that coming. I don't think anybody does. I mean, the movie starts and they're on their way to this place. They're in the fog. The guy's sick, throwing up in the toilet, and it's just like, okay. And he's apparently meeting his new partner for the first time, so it all kind of makes sense. So when the twist happens, you don't realize. You're just like, wow, it just kind of knocks you out.
They're very Hitchcock.
But yeah, what an amazing film.
Thank you.
Oh yeah,
Tim.
very, very Hitchcocky as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, but
Thanks, Tim. We'll go back over to Craig and David. Have you got anything to add to that after you?
Well, we had a knock at the door. It was the actual CIA. We got knocked off there. So just giving me a lobotomy, but I'm from Newcastle, so it didn't really work. I was just going, I want copy. If you had to put Sunderland brain in, now you're talking. Anyway, sorry, Craig.
No, you go ahead. You were saying before.
I'm totally thrown Craig now, sorry.
But
no, very silent, very dark, very Hitchcockian. Sorry, we're just having a laugh about it. We just went off at the moment when we started talking about MK Ultra. It's freaking me out. This stuff. You're hearing clicks and beep. You put in keywords on the phone. You talk about certain things. And anyway, let's not go into that.
I like the soundtrack. It's good as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
San Francisco Symphony.
John Cage.
Alfred Schnitty. Something like that. I can't pronounce his name.
And if there's any big 2001 fans out there, believe that I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name. Grigori Leggetti. He did. Thank you. He did a lot of stuff in 2001. It's beautiful music. Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, it's. I mean, sorry, just diverting, but Mr. 2001 was the first to put sort of classical music, to space, and then of course everybody jumps. Now it's like become norm, with Star Wars and all the rest. But it was I forgot the guy's name. Sorry, the director. I love him.
Stanley Kubrick.
Thank you. Yeah, he actually when he had the first rushes, and he brought the people in to sort of see the shots done, And he says, I'm just going to put this music on. And he played it without any dialogue. And everyone was just blown away, And then since now it's fallen into sort of like, it's how you do a space movie. Classical music and outer space. Isn't that great,
Thank you, Craig and David. We'll go over to Susan next.
I think I was not expecting this. This is my first time seeing it, and I didn't I didn't think when I first when the movie started that it was a story about um, this this character named Ladus, who is actually the guy who who Teddy Daniels, Edward Daniels, is sort of a what's it called, where where you mix up the letters. Anyway, an anagram of Ladus. So I mean, like that last ditch attempt to reach him, and the whole thing with his wife. I mean, my my impression of that was searing. She wasn't accusatory, but it was a searing comment on that. And then the other thing was the whole situation with the entrance to the mental institution being very similar to the entrance shown to Auschwitz. Like that was really incredibly intense, and the whole thing with what he survived in World War II, informing what he was surviving there, was a big deal too. And the acting was amazing. Not only Leonardo DiCaprio, Mark Ruffalo, Ben Kingsley, but Michelle Williams played Dolores, his wife, and Emily Mortimer and Patricia Clarkson played Rachel, the two different kinds of Rachel. And then there was Ted Levine from Monk. We reviewed a Monk episode, and that was one of his big, long-lasting. He'd been in many episodes of that, almost every single episode of that. So like that was his show, and so Ted Levine was amazing as Warden, and he didn't have a name. So that was pretty weird because they did give John Carroll Lynch's character the name McPherson, and that was interesting because that really humanized that first interaction. So like that was trying to draw you in and stuff, but then you could tell apparently people could tell how bored they were when they were trying to do the search for her on the outside down by the rocks and the caves and stuff. And then to have Teddy Daniels down there in the cave later, that was crazy. And then that guy John Carroll Lynch was also in played another sort of stalwart character in Fargo. He played the cop's husband, the painter guy, and so there was that. And then Robin Bartlett acted her socks off, especially when she was being interviewed as Bridget Kearns. That interview of the patients and stuff looking for Rachel, that was really a scary bit. And so I loved what this was, and the fact that it was supposedly in the Boston Harbor Islands, which are just right over there.
Huh.
Crazy cool. And yeah, so interesting. And back over to you, Connor.
Thank you, Susan. Yeah, Shutter Island is probably one of my favourite Scorsese movies. The twist is unbelievable. Leonardo DiCaprio went on a bit of a tear of doing really weird films around this time because, and I think Lee knows what I'm going to mention next. Inception came out the very next year, so he kind of went through a period of doing strange movies that you can't really make sense of, and this is different for Martin. He's not known for this style. He's had variety before in his career, but this is something completely different. Because, I mean, not to kind of say that he's not an intellectual filmmaker, but he doesn't use the mind or identity or anything as a way of telling a story. And this is a bit of a puzzle. You don't see the twist coming, so it is quite shocking when you first see it. Obviously, when you see it multiple times, you know what's coming. So it loses its magic in terms of that. But other than that, such a well executed twist. I love the flashback scenes, especially the Auschwitz ones. Very dark for a Scorsese movie. Like he does gangsters killing each other, but there's something very kind of it's as if Scorsese wanted to do something like Schindler's List and wanted to kind of make it complicated at the same time. It was very harrowing sort of filmmaking for someone like Scorsese. DiCaprio in this, like I like DiCaprio as an actor. He's probably in my top 5 favorite actors, but in this he's so intense. In fact, I'd go so far to say that he's a bit of a bastard because he has no sympathy for the people in the facility. You can tell that first. You can tell that during the interview that Susan mentioned, which is one of my favorite bits. And he's just so intense and he's judgmental. And then the twist comes that he's the one that killed his wife. And it's just like he kind of turns the character on its head in a way. And DiCaprio plays it so well. He really fools you into thinking that Teddy Daniels is an actual character. And I know that that's easy when you don't know that there's a twist coming. But when you go back and you know that the twist is coming, you kind of that's where you really judge the mettle of an actor, and DiCaprio really pulls off the two kind of different characters, I guess you could say, really well. Michelle Williams is great in it for as little as she's in it. Ben Kingsley is fantastic, as always.
Yeah.
I even like Mark Ruffalo. I've only seen Mark Ruffalo in a few serious roles. And he's actually a really good serious actor. I guess the Hulk in a way is a little bit serious, but you know he's a better actor than Marvel movies. I'd say that, and that's not dissing. Ironically, as Scorsese dissed everyone that likes Marvel movies, I'm not dissing Marvel movies. They're all right in places. Yeah, such a great cast. Max von Sydow is the German doctor in the chair near the when DiCaprio and Ruffalo go into his study. The tension in that scene is fantastic. You know, DiCaprio will not take any shit from this guy, but this guy can just instantly see through DiCaprio, Teddy, as he was at that point. Yeah, just such a strange, twisty, turny movie that just never kind of gives in. And as mentioned, yeah, the scar, particularly on the boat scene right at the beginning. My God, what a scar! That is fantastic. That really sets. Excuse me. You think it's actually a boat horn, but it's not. It's actually the scar, and that really kind of sets the tone. It's a really horrific kind of way of setting things up. And one thing that I'll never forget about this film, even when I could not watch it for 5 years or whatever, is the woman right at the beginning when she tells, yeah, that is creepy. I don't know the name of the actress, but wow. Like, how do you make yourself look like that? Because she's almost not human. It's really weird. It's
It lets you know right from the beginning that everything's not what it seems in a way.
yeah, yeah.
Or you could just write it off as a crazy person out on the lawn. I mean, basically, but
It's absolutely. That's a makeup job. That is absolutely phenomenal.
But every single person in that scene, every single one was looking at DiCaprio. I mean, there wasn't anybody who wasn't looking at him. It was weird.
Yeah, very weird. And the police officer as well. I can't remember his name. The deputy. You kind of knew things were off when he said, relinquish your firearms. You almost felt there was a trap coming, as you probably would, because obviously every film needs drama to be able to move forward. But it's just a very well put together story by a director that you wouldn't expect to kind of do that sort of thing. So yeah, that's my opening thoughts. We'll go on to favourite moments next. Let's go over to Lee. What's your favourite moments?
Well, it's nice to know, Connor, that you're on first name terms with Scorsese. You and Martin, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
It's Scorsese to everybody else. You did touch on the Siddharth and DiCaprio tension, where he's the chair and he's in the run. They're just at loggerheads. That is just a brilliant scene. Also, the scene with Siddharth, where with the sponge. That is another well acted scene. So, Spittery lockdown. That was year, wasn't it, early on the year. Also, it is his journey into madness. Not journey into madness because he's already in madness, really. But the more picture journey into madness of this story is just so well scripted and so put together. As everybody, you don't see it coming. And then as soon as you see it come, everything just has to unravel. And at the end, he sort of agrees with her and says, yeah, okay, this person, I killed my wife, blah, blah, blah. He still rather wouldn't get lobotomized, which was because he was acting as the character again as the cop. He did that on purpose. If nobody, you know what I mean, it was done on purpose. He just didn't want to know anything more. He wanted white clean, not know anything. But it was just so well done. You can see on Ruffalo's face, and he realised what done straight away. So wetted, brilliant sort of put together. I mean, do you think Martin would do another one like this then, Connor?
No.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Scorsese.
No, I don't think he would, because I don't think actually, yeah, there is an audience for it because Blumhouse have kind of
going to do a TV series.
He would. If he likes the script, he would do it. He's not afraid to try different things.
Yeah.
I mean, what's difficult for Martin now, we're first name terms, is he really struggles to get his films financed. The Irishman.
Oh yeah.
But that's any director these days. If you're not making, his point was, if you're not making a spectacular, CGI fest like a Marvel movie, you're not going to get the money. That's what they want. They want people to go see something, the summer blockbuster, and a smaller film like this or The Irishman. Not a lot of people want to pay for that, even though there's a market for it.
Yeah, So I think, yeah, he would probably make it if he wanted to, another one like this, but it's just whether or not he can get the funding for it, really, which is always the key issue with making any film. But yeah, so that's really what I think about that. Let's go over to Susan.
Well, I'm not crazy, and I would interview these people the same way, and because if you're a marshal and you're, of course that was the choice to allow him to live out that fantasy of being the marshal, because a marshal is someone who doesn't have to have a lot of investment in the community. It's not a cop. It's not a soldier, because he was a soldier. They needed something that was different than that. And a marshal is that, someone who can judge from the outside. But he was definitely flipped on the inside. So, yeah. Favorite scenes, I like the scene where he is I like the in the jail scenes, like inside the cells and stuff, where he's all like trying to get lights and stuff, and he's trying to get free. And that gun scene where he clicks and shoots the gun, and then it just becomes just like a little plastic toy thing that just crumbles in his hand. I mean, so many, and when he's hugging his wife and she just disintegrates. And like when they're sitting there and he's embracing her the first time, and you see all of the char on the inside of her back. Yeah, and then the kids in the lake, and then
it's pretty horrific.
Yeah, there was a lot to do with
the mind breaking down,
getting in the water, like I think it was all an aim towards the water, where he finally tries to jump into the harbor and try to swim to shore. And so that was another really good scene. And yeah, that's my favorite scenes. Back over to you.
Thank you, Susan. Tim, what's your favorite scenes?
Well, I have to agree with you about DiCaprio. I think this is one of his best performances in the film. Before that, he'd been previously known as like the Hollywood pretty boy with things like Titanic or Romeo and Juliet. This hooking up with Scorsese managed to give him an opportunity to prove his chops, and he's very good in this. That business at the end with the kids in the water just makes you want to cry, because it's so desperate. He's so broken down. I mean, because what a horrific thing to come across, But I think I'd rather talk about Scorsese though, because I do think he does a masterful job of this movie. I think all that business of creating a character whose mind is breaking down and able to visualize that for the film, which is what he does. I mean, like all that business in the cave, it doesn't really happen, or that business, on near the lighthouse when he thinks he sees his friend's body down there on the rocks, but he's not seeing that. It's not there. I mean, it's all this stuff that he's starting to lose the illusion that they placed him in, which he's this cop, which he's not. He's actually a patient. And I don't know if that was cruel what they did to him. I think that I'm not sure, because I don't think that's how you'd approach a patient. Like, let's let him be in charge and see where we go with it. I mean, but I mean, it worked for the movie. But I think Scorsese does a masterful job of creating that circumstance where his world is falling apart, and we don't know the twist yet. It's still coming. I mean, so when it happens, you're like, oh, oh, really? So it turns the whole movie on its head. It changes everything that you think you've seen. Nothing is true. You're just kind of like, okay, wow, and it all, kind of then goes towards the end. But yeah, what an amazing piece of work this is. I still think it's a little bit too long, though. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's the second or third time you start to look at your watch and go, okay, because, but otherwise, it is an amazing piece of work.
Thank
That's all
you,
I got.
Tim. Let's go to Craig and David next.
It's a film about like it's a film all about guilt, the guilt of what happened, what was done to his wife, what the wife did to the children, because he feels that he let the wife down, and he blames himself for that. But then he's got the guilt of what's done during his past in the war as well.
Yeah.
And he's carrying that with him, and he invokes fear, and it's very atmospheric. And my favourite scenes is probably the cliff scenes when he thought that his partner had fallen down, and then he was climbing down, and I was like watching, like, don't fall, and like, and then when he gets down to the rock, you can see that it looks like an outline of someone just from the white marks on the rock. It looks like someone's laid there with their arms and legs, sort of thing. And then I thought, how the hell is he going to get back up now? And then the rats all came out, and then he met that lady that said, don't go to the lighthouse because they'll give you a lobotomy, sort of thing. And then it was, that was probably my favourite part of the film. And obviously the reveal was the best thing. But the funny thing that I liked was when Ben Kingsley said, you blew my car up, I really like that car. Yeah, and then I thought, he might not be a total arsehole to him if he's able, because if they've got that type of relationship, I thought they're obviously not going to do anything too bad. But then the ending happens, and it's pretty bad, and did it happen? Is it to be or not to be? That is the question. I don't know. What did you think?
Oh yeah, well, so Connor was like Connor's talking. I think when right at the very beginning when they're going across on the boat.
Yeah.
That really got me. I thought something weird here.
When I saw the handcuffs in the boat as well, I thought, hold on, like what's going on in there? Like,
it seemed to match up. In Buddhism they say, like, do we learn or just remember? And it's true that there was a movie called Angel Heart, and it was all about he had to go through this whole scenario to find out who he was. He had made a bit of a Robert Johnson at the crossroad, deal with the devil, whoever that
That's a motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. But we all make deals all the way through our lives, How many times have we sort of screamed to the skies saying, please God, or please something change my life. But I think that thing about do we learn or just remember, I think that's quite true. Like, it's a very dark, well, how many times it's become a cliche now, how dark movie, but Scorsese, like Connor was saying, he's normally like gangster, shoot him up. The thing is, like, he's trying to sort of do something with Leonardo here, DiCaprio, and took him into it and said to him, like, I want you to go down a different avenue here. And I think he was up for it. Like you're saying, he had the chops for it, And I think he's really pulled something off here. Really cool.
He was talking about doing a TV series called Ashcliffe, which was like an origin story, but I think he got shelved.
Maybe it was a bit too much, I think you can't scare the kiddies. You can't scare the children, because we are at a sort of like nursery level, or kept at a nursery level. Most of us, you guys, because obviously, But but I think the actual opening scene was the best bit for me. I mean, the rest of it, great, obviously great film, but that was a bit that got me thinking, this is going to go somewhere interesting.
Thank you, Craig and David. This movie is full of pretty great moments. Like I said, the flashbacks. It's kind of build on the story in that way, and present Auschwitz in that really visceral, harrowing way. Is not quite like Martin has done before. but it is really, really well done. It's just such a great directed movie. As I said, scene between Max von Sydow and DiCaprio near the beginning, where they're in the study, is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, the scene at the end with the kids in the water. Oh my god, it's just it really does. It takes it out of you, I think, because we're not racked with the same sort of guilt that these characters are, because these are murderers and things like that. But it really, there's something incredibly human about it that just kind of, and it's presented in like a typical horror way. It's like a really well put together modern horror film, I think, is the best way to describe it. The interview scene, though, is my absolute favourite. The acting by DiCaprio in that is just phenomenal. He's so intense. When he's scribbling on the pad, and the almost to the point that he's going through the whole of the pad, it's just, you can really just see his anger. He doesn't have to say anything to. That's always a sign of a good actor. It's not always in the dialogue. You have to be able to show it in other ways, and that is such a fantastic way to show that he's really kind of, everything around him and in the interview scenario is getting under his skin. And when he then kind of turns the screw almost, and then does it to wind up, I think his name's Breen, is it? The one that tore the nurse's face off or whatever. And he's like, well, that nurse could have had kids, and he starts to really kind of push the pencil right into the pad, and you can see like it's getting into Breen's head. Unbelievable. I do not think that the film, after the first time I saw that, I was like, this film can't beat that, just because of the acting. It takes a special kind of actor to pull that off, and DiCaprio is one of only probably 5 I can think of that can do that sort of thing. So yeah, short but sweet. But that's that, and obviously the beginning on the boat, which is mainly kind of made by the score, I think, is just so atmospheric, and it reminds me a lot of, and it's ironic that there is a lighthouse in it. The Lighthouse, a movie that came out last year with Willem Dafoe and
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson. It is very similar, kind of tonally, I think, to that. It's just so bizarre. Yeah, so that's my my favourite moments. Let's move on to final saying score. So let's go to Lee.
Well, it's good to know that you are on Martin's Christmas card list, Connor.
I'm sensing a bit of jealousy here.
No, this is a recommendation, Connor. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but if you like twists and turns like Shutter Island, check out a 2003 movie called Identity. That's good. Ray Liotta's in that.
Yeah, I'll check that one, definitely.
Identity, yeah. It's sort of based on loosely based on an Agatha Christie sort of. It's American. It's in a motel, and Identity. There's a lot of twist turns in it. Gets you thinking, that one. But back to this. What shall I give it? Brilliant acting, really well done. Keeps you thinking, turns it around at the end. I'm going to give it 10 Martins. 10.
I'll send up my regards to Martin for you, shall I? Let's go to Tim next.
I forgot to mention too that you can tell Scorsese has a lot of fun playing around with the noirish elements as well, the costumes and the but Yeah, I'm with Lee on this one. This is an excellent piece of work. I still think it could be just a tad shorter, but I still think it deserves a 10 because it is an amazing piece of work and it's unexpected from Scorsese. I mean, like you said, this isn't his usual playground, but I mean, he does a great job with it and managed to pull it all together, all the moving pieces, and pull together a really great cast. And just it's just I don't know, didn't get much better than that. Also, I think it was David brought up Angel Heart. That's one if you haven't seen, you might want to check
Yeah.
out.
Mickey
From
Rourke.
the 80s. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's aged that well because it's from the 80s, but it's got your boy De Niro in it playing the devil, so you'll probably enjoy that.
That'd be good. Yeah, yeah. I'll watch that then as well. That's 2 recommendations.
Hey.
Thank you, Tim. Let's go to Susan.
All right. I don't know how to rate this. I think I'd give it a 9 out of 10, but there is so much good stuff in it. It does make it a little more than that. But it was quite a mind trip for sure, and I was I really felt connected to his wife. I felt like that, like they really were able to like connect there, and with just anybody, and yeah, it does sort of leave you very sad. I'm just thinking of the end and how his frontal lobotomy was his answer, and I just feel like that's so sad, but it was the way that many people were able to regain some control over their, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. And so yeah, it was sad. So I'll give it a 9.5 because of those. There's so many elements that are incredibly intense and incredibly brilliant. So yeah, that's my final say and score.
Thank you, Susan. Craig and David.
So this movie, it grossed $41 million, but then worldwide it's grossed $294,803,000 in total and 14p. And it's his second highest grossing film. I'll give it a 10, but I don't.
Oh, definitely a 10 because it's just takes you on a journey. How your own mind could go like that.
10 lobotomies.
I think 10 lobotomies, and lobotomy is disgusting, man. It's the worst thing ever invented by human beings. I think that David Bowie song. Probably you guys are too young to remember, but there's a song called "All the Madmen" on "Man Who Sold the World."
Didn't you play this?
Give me some good old lobotomy, 'cause I'd rather be here with all the madmen. Well, not a 10.
We're here on Geeks Assemble.
Yeah. And Martin gives it a 10. He's just come in.
Yeah, Martin's just outside there. I mean,
He's outside there. He's just pointing the gun at my head, and he said, "Give it a 10." I'm a healer.
Well, you see, me and Martin and Christopher regularly have.
Not Christopher Nolan.
Sunday lunch. Yeah.
He does do other things though. He did Hugo, right? Scorsese's not just a one-trick pony. I mean, he does branch out in a myriad different directions. FYI.
I mean, if you're not jealous now, Martin called me the greatest thing since sliced bread the other week, so that's great. Anyway,
He didn't often eat sliced bread, does it?
He made love and he made me breakfast in the morning.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love his eyebrows. I think he's the Mark. He's the Groucho Marx of the film industry. He's got the eyebrows.
I'll give this. Sorry, Martin. I'll give it a.
Yeah, sorry, Martin.
Is he laid dead next to you?
He is indeed.
I mean, like, right. Cards on the table. If I had a chance to sleep with Martin Scorsese on, Christopher Nolan, I would. We'll get that out there. I'll give it an 8. And we'll watch it on our first date, Martin. Anyway.
Send Michelle Pfeiffer over, okay?
You want some of these, Sherry?
Anyway, yeah, thanks. That's our review of Shutter Island. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. As always, message Lee on a first name basis, of course. If you want to join the cast, and leave a comment, especially if you're called Martin, because
at least on Shutter Island we know there's a first aid kit because he gave them that little plaster as well.
Oh, so yeah.
They've got all the amenities there.
We have to lighten things up after watching the movie. Like
fully stocked.
Yeah, fully stocked first aid kit, and any of their false eyebrows.
Yeah.
So, yep. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.